Daytona International Speedway, and it's going to be a day to watch Bill Elliott and see what he can do with the Wood brothers. He's been around for a long time. They've been around for a long time. Daytona Speedweeks. I thought you retired. You just can't get away from this sport.
Well, look at you. I thought you retired.
Yeah, I thought I did too sometimes.
I'll quit when you quit.
Okay, that's good.
How about that?
Some guys like to just drive forever. I mean, we say Red Farmer and those guys. Are you one of those guys? I mean, you sort of thought about quitting and then...
No, I just said I wanted to slow down, not run as many races. I mean, I never said I would stop racing, you know. I mean, regardless of whatever I do cup-wise, I know eventually I'll have to end it, but you know, for me to do I would still like to run something. I mean, whether I run a dirt late model and go tinker around or this and that. But you know, the worst side of it, you know, the farther we go in life, the more expensive it gets to do. And I mean, I see it just from the kids that come and run the little stuff today, from go-karts to bandoleros to legends or whatever. You know, all the stuff is just so expensive to run that, you know, it limits what you can do. I mean, even if I were to go just pick up a dirt late model and go play, I mean, you could spend $100,000, $150,000 a year just to go play, you know, 30, 40 races a year.
But there's some really big teams, and then there's some really small teams. How can the small teams expect to compete against the really big teams? I mean, Hendrick won half the races last year alone.
Well, that's the crossroads I think a lot of people are at. I mean, you look at it realistically, you know, the guy that I guess they said, somebody made a comment about how much money Hendrick spent last year to race. Well, God, look what he did. They won a championship. They won, like you said, nearly half the races. And I mean, with a deal like that, what does it matter? You know, if you can continue to attract the sponsors that you need to do this sport, he's going to get it all. I mean, and with that, being able, he can back up. He can say, okay, here's our history. We can win races. We can do this. We can do that. What sponsor wouldn't be crazy to go with it?
The rich get richer.
That's it.
The rich get richer.
That's it. And I mean, you know, looking back on my career, and man, I've had some great runs here. Really enjoyed this place. Had a lot of fun at it, and you know, it's pretty much the same. You know, whenever the flag falls, when that green flag falls and it all starts, you know pretty much what to expect. You know pretty much where you got to be. I mean, if you've got the horse to ride to get to the front, then so be it. But you know, it's not a racetrack that it's got a lot of guesswork to it. You got to be fast. You got to handle well. You know, and just like everything else with this COT car now, it's going to put it more on the cruise on pit road and every bit of track position you can possibly get. I felt like we had a good test. You know, if we can pick up, if our qualifying stuff's better for Sunday, that'll be better. But still, I mean, if anything happens, I mean, we could be loaded up going to the house. I mean, somebody asked me about the top 35 over a little while ago, and I kind of went off on it. I mean, you know, to me, ever since I've ever heard anything about NASCAR, you know, the Woods brothers was a part of this deal. You know, why can't you carve out a spot for those guys? They deserve to be here just as much as anybody else, probably more than a lot. You know, they're good racers, they're good people. They help carve, build, make this sport. You know, why can't you figure out some way in the system to make it something work out for those guys for as many years and hard work as they've done? Because it's not fair that you get off on a season of a little bit of bad luck, you end up missing a few races, and you're toast. You know, you can't get sponsors to follow you. You can't get then that turns around and affects your budget and everything else. So it's just a domino effect. You know, when it starts falling apart, it starts falling apart big. And I feel like that's something that needs to be addressed in this sport. And I don't know what to say. I don't know how to. You know, really hadn't sat down and thought about it, but still, there's something there that needs to be done.
What aggravates me is that guys like you and Ricky Rudd should be able to beat car owners. You're smart enough, you know the deal, and yet the sport is like the deck is stacked against you guys.
It's pushed your way. I mean, you look at the whole deal, and it's just totally pushed your way. I mean, look what Robbie, if Robbie did, I guess he's done or whatever he's going to do on that other deal, and you know, how can you compete? I mean, you've got Hendrick spending $200 or $300 million a year or whatever it is, and you know, you can't even spend 10 or 15 or whatever it does to take to maintain your race team. How are you going to be competitive? You know, NASCAR can make all the rules in the world, you're still not going to be competitive.
Are you still having fun doing this, or do you just do it because you're a racer and racers race?
I have a good time. I mean, to me, it's a lot of fun just to come out and hang out. You know, to do it full time, I don't think I could ever go back because I've had a taste of the other side of life. And you know, now it's just a pretty good balance. Last fall, I ended up running a little bit more than what I wanted to run, but you know, I was trying to help Lynn and Eddie out, trying to get things sorted out from that standpoint, and you know, just trying to help them out a little bit at the start of the season. And then you know, they've got some plans as far as John and Marcus, and trying to get all that done for the rest of the year. So you know, hopefully we'll transition in and all works out.
Bill Elliott and the Wood Brothers. Poignant story, Daytona. Speedweeks, Mike Mulhern for the Winston-Salem Journal and Journal Now.